Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotram Sati Divine Grace, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotram Sati Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Srila Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौ भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथ धाम की जय। गंगा मैया की जय, यमुना मैया की जय। भक्ति शिरोमणि तुलसी महाराज की जय। प्रभुपाद प्रसाद डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। हरे कृष्ण दाम ह्यूस्टन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gaurang Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Oh no. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Giridvanadari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Giridvanadari Yasodanandana Brajajana Danjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Danjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Uh-oh. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilamadhava ki. Shri Shri Radha Govinda. I'm sorry. Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Ji ki. Shri Shri Giriraja Govardhana ki. Shri Shri Nitai Chaitanya Chandra ki. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Chandra ki. Shri Shri Hari Krishna Dham ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to Shri Shri Radhanila Madhava once again. Hare Krishna. So nice to be back here. Even though it's also nice to be from here. It's nice to be back. So Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna and his devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 86, verses number 49 and 50, and I think it's 50 on the board. Yes. All right. We please chant. Shri Sukha Uvacha Tat Uktam Ityapyar Karanya Bhagavan Pranatartiha Grititva Panina Panim Prahasam stam uvachaha. Shri Shuka uvacha. Tad uktam ityupayarna. Bhagavan pranatadrita. Grihitva panina panim. Prahasam stam uvacha. Shri Sukha uvacha. Tad uktam idupakarnya. Bhagavam pranatartiha. Grihitva panina panim. Prahasam stam uvacha. Please chant. Okay. Word for word, which is actually very beautiful. This is a short but very sweet and beautiful verse. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Shri Sukadev Goswami said, Tat, by him, Shrutadev, Uktam, what was spoken, Iti, thus, Upakaranya, hearing, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Pranata, of the surrendered, Arti, of distress. Ha, the destroyer. Grihitva, taking. Panina, with his hand. Panim, his hand. Prahasan, smiling broadly. Tam, to him. Uvachaha, said. So I'll read the previous verse, 49, and then we'll read the translation to number 50 and read the purport. O Lord, you are that supreme soul, and we are your servants. How shall we serve you, my Lord? Simply seeing you puts an end to all the troubles of human life. Today's verse, 50. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, after hearing Srutadev speak these words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who relieves his surrendered devotees' distress, took Shrutadev's hand in his own and smiling spoke to him as follows. Purport. Acharya Vishwanath comments that Lord Krishna took Shrutadev's hand and smiled as a gesture of friendship to tell him, yes, you know the truth about me, and I also know all about you. So now I will tell you something special. How would you like to hear that from God one day where you were just minding your own business? Yeah? So I haven't been here for a few months. I want to do a little Q&A here to kind of get a feel for what's going on here in the Bhagavatam. So we do know that Arjuna, as per the chapter title, has snatched away Krishna's sister Subhadra right out from under Balaram's careful watch. Balaram being the older brother, he's really got to watch after his younger brother Krishna and Subhadra. So right out from under his careful protection, Arjuna snatches his sister away. Krishna, out of his kindness to Arjuna, right? He told Arjuna, when you take her, make sure she drives the chariot, because if Balaram sees you just stealing her, he'll kill you, because he will do that. They're kings. They get that right. So this is Krishna's kindness, really, it's setting the mood of the entire chapter, yeah? So Balaram was furious, and had he not seen that Subhadra, and it was pointed out by Krishna, right? Oh, no, look, Subhadra, she must want to go. She's the one driving the chariot. Which restrained Balaram sufficiently that Arjuna could make his getaway and ultimately, from Krishna's perspective, bless their own family, that only my best devotee should marry our sister. Right? So this is Krishna even going against his older brother. So it's not unusual for the devotees to go a little bit against their families in taking up devotional service. It happens. We have to do what Krishna wants done. And we all participate as a world, as a creation. Everything is working under Krishna's direction. So then after this time, Krishna takes a surprise visit, right? He goes on a little trip. Who does he take with him? Sarva said Narada, true enough. Who else went on this little journey with Krishna? Huh? Yeah, there's about 11 sadhus, like Maitreya Muni, Chaivana Muni, Vyasadeva. He takes all these incredible sages that must have gathered for the wedding, because Krishna's sister was to get married. And these are sages that don't normally congregate together necessarily. We don't hear their stories of them all just talking to each other and hanging out. I mean, technically they live in the Saptarishi constellation, which is Ursa Major, or the Big Dipper as we know it. Circumambulates Dhruvaloka every day, 24 hours goes around the entire pole star, Polaris, which is a Vaikuntha planet here. So these sages had assembled. So Krishna, as a host, decided to take them on a little journey with them, give them a little extra mercy, like that, right? So Krishna's out giving mercy. That's what's happening here. So he went to various villages and towns. And what would happen there? Everyone would rush out to see because they didn't know Krishna was coming either. And what did they do when they saw Krishna? They made offerings. They brought something for Krishna. Argya was one where they would carry water in their hand, and the scented water, and they would throw it on Krishna and the sages for their pleasure. It's cooling, and very fragrant, like that. Even a simple thing as that, just fragrant water. They're offering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the great sages of the universe. Right? What an opportunity. Huh? Yeah, this is Krishna's kindness to just the ordinary people of the various towns and villages. And bear in mind where we're at in the Bhagavatam here. We're getting closer and closer to Krishna's final pastimes. So he's making sure that he gives out his mercy and people get his darshan. And not just alone, as we'll find out as this chapter proceeds. So they made various offerings. Then gradually he gets to Matila. What's special about Matila? What happened there? Huh? I knew you'd know. Yeah, this is where Sita Devi comes from, Lord Ram's consort, Lakshmi Devi herself. And who is the king? Janak Maharaj at that time. Who's the king now? Bahulasva, right? Yeah. What is it? Bhishma? What is it? Bhishma? One of those. Bahulasva, yeah. And he's a descendant of King Janak. Now, we know that Krishna was on the planet 5,000 years ago, yeah? Right? So this Bahulasva, as a descendant of Janak Maharaj, this family lineage has been taking care of this city, this area, for how long? Somewhere around 120 million years that this family has been intact. Well, I don't usually try to adjust these. What? I'm not going to talk on a phone. What is that? What am I supposed to do with this? Oh. Well, just make the thing longer. I haven't been properly trained in how to use a microphone, so I don't usually touch it. Okay, sorry. Generally, the speaker gets the privilege of not having to adjust his own microphone. Etiquette. Anyway, I never know what happens out on the internet. I don't spend a lot of time there anymore. I used to. I had to work in front of a computer for 6 years. Okay, so we're at the fact that this family has been present as kings for eons, basically, millennia, right? 120 million years or so, right? They must be a good family, and they must be good kings, that no one had a revolution, right? So this is a very special place, actually. And within that kingdom, there's one Brahmin named Shrutadev. How was Shrutadev described earlier, just maybe 10 verses ago? What was his economics? He had enough every day. That was it. No matter what he did, he had enough every day. And with that enough, whatever that was, he worshipped Krishna every day. Great reverence and love, offering whatever he had for Krishna's pleasure first, and then distributing amongst his family. He was maintaining more than just his wife and kids. There was other members of the family also there, elders and like that. So Shrutadeva is a very simple Brahmin, and Bahulasva is a very respected king from a divine lineage. So somehow or other, when Krishna arrived in Mathila, the king and Shrutadeva just felt inspired within their heart to beg Krishna, please come and visit my home. Now, how does someone as simply situated as Shrutadeva get so inspired that rather than waiting for the king to first receive and get audience of Krishna himself, runs up to the chariot and says, can you come and see me? And this was happening like simultaneously. So Krishna said yes to both of them. So simultaneously, he's received by the king and Shrutadeva. The king offers great opulent, seats him at tables, has big feast, all this stuff. Shrutadeva sits them on durbar grass mats in his house and gives him water. And Krishna is equally pleased by both. And here Krishna is even taking the time to hold Shrutadeva's hand and say, I have something special to tell you. Mercy. Ooh. How nice is Krishna that he is completely situated, as Shrutadeva said, we have always been associated with you since the creation. Several things we can understand from that. One, that yes, Krishna is present in the hearts of every living entity. Right? Within the heart. It's Paramatma. Another is that everything is manifest from Krishna and everything ultimately relates back to Krishna. And as in the reading upstairs, the 11th canto, we're hearing the activities of the Avaduta sage, which I don't remember if it says it in there or not, but at some point it kind of hints to his identity. Right? Huh? Yeah. He's who? Dattatreya, right. The incarnation of Krishna himself. And therefore Krishna himself, as Dattatreya, can illuminate just how the entire world can teach us about Krishna's mercy, Krishna's identity, how we should approach Krishna, how we should live our lives in Krishna consciousness. Quite stunning. So what I'm kind of getting at coming up to this point is how connected Krishna, his manifestation, his devotees, and everything else within the known universe, and that being, relative to where you are and how much you know. The sages all know Krishna, and they can travel from the various celestial realms and come to see Krishna as they wish. Narmuni does that in Dwarka some chapters ago. So, quite interesting that everything relates back to Krishna. That's the nature of the Bhagavatam. That is why Sri Narada Muni arranged so many amazing things to help Vyasadeva understand the necessity for this great work, Srimad Bhagavatam, and how Krishna arranges for all of this to happen. Prabhu mentioned it yesterday, Damodar Sharan, when he said, so many interesting things happen. Shringi, small Brahmin boy, is powerful enough to curse an enormously pious and blessed king, great devotee of the Lord since before birth, blessed him to rule the world, become emperor of the world. As a teenager, he was given that privilege. He was not old. He was young. He was under 20 when Yudhishthira and the rest of the Pandavas left. But he was such a respected and well behaved king that everyone was satisfied in his reign. So how does a small boy, 8 years old, curse such a great king, specifically protected by the Supreme Lord, even within the womb? How does he curse him to death? And what are the repercussions? And what does this boy suffer as a result of such a mischievous act? Out of pride. Pride cometh before the fall. Big description of that in the 17th, 18th, 19th chapters of the Bhagavatam. It actually sets the whole scene. The punishment of Kali, then Parikshit Maharaj goes into the hermitage of the sage who's deep in meditation. And because he's agitated by hunger and thirst, he was out hunting. And he knew there was a big lake there, near there. So he just went into the ashram to find out where and if the sage could. And the sage, being deep in his meditation, didn't respond. So Maharaj Parikshit, in anger and frustration, picked up a snake with the end of his bow and just kind of slung it around the sage's shoulders, which also didn't wake him up, by the way. He didn't break his trance when that happened. And when he did finally come out of his trance, there's a snake. He didn't freak out. He didn't think, oh no, now I'm all contaminated. I will have to run to the Sarovara and jump in and purify myself. He just kind of, wonder what that was about. Didn't faze him. Completely equipoised. Not concerned with how he's treated out there in the world. However, his son became very offended. And as boys will do, dangerous things, boys. In the association of his friends, he said, watch how powerful I am. Puts his hand in his thread, touches water, utters a curse that this king should die in 7 days, breaks his thread, and bang, it happens. Now, in the meantime, before Maharaj Parikshit hears about this, right, he's riding home on his horse going, what the heck just happened? Why in the 3 worlds did I do such a despicable, uncivilized act? I am not even a human being. What to speak of a king? I have no qualifications. Therefore, please, my Lord, let the sinful reactions to this incident happen to me now. Let me take those reactions upon my head and accept them simply as your mercy. He's riding home on his horse thinking, that was stupid. And he hasn't heard yet. But trust me, news travels fast. Bad news travels very fast. So he gradually finds out when he gets home that this curse has happened. And he's still in this mood of humility and remorse. So he just says, fine, I'm dying. That's it. I've got 7 days. I better do something about my uncivilized nature. Therefore, he takes all his royal vestments off, goes to the bank of the Ganges River, and there's always sages there. He says, what do I do? I have been cursed to die in 7 days. Just what does an aspiring human being do before his life is over? What am I supposed to do? What can I do now? Because from his perspective, he's only got 7 days left to rectify his uncivilized behavior. Now, who thinks like this, right? Who would be willing to accept that so quickly? And it describes in several of the purports and some verses that this is all due to the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. To do what? To save humanity in the throes of Kali Yuga. This is how much effort Krishna puts into continuously saving his devotees. Parittanaya sadhunam vinasyaya duskritam, in handling his non-devotees, the demons. This is how much effort Krishna puts into the living entities, his devotees, in age after age after age. Here they're in Dwapara Yuga. And what's actually going to happen, I'll give you a little spoiler. Krishna grabs his hands and says, you know, I really thank you for all of this, but did you notice all these wonderful great sages are also here? And they are equally worshipable as I am. That's the secret. We exhibit and execute ourselves in devotional service under the protection of our sampradaya, under the protection of our spiritual masters and the previous spiritual masters, who have simply taken it upon themselves to have compassion for the fallen, ignorant living entities who do not know what to do with this human life. Most of human life is involved around finding a comfortable way to exist. Right? Remember Shobha here today? She's there. I remember one time I was just walking through the lobby of Gauranga Hall and I said, life is so simple. And they were doing something on, I forget what they were, packing sweets or garlands or some kind of thing. And she looked up and said, Prabhu, it's not true. Life is so complicated. I remember that day. And I said, life requires 4 things: water, air, food, and some sleep. That's not complicated. It's easy to eat. The air is free, the water's free. Of course, these days you have to be a little careful where you breathe and where you drink because so much contamination in the world. I am spoiled. I've been drinking water out of the faucet over there in the middle of the forest in a mountain range. Pure and clean, clear. The air is wonderful. It's really nice. And our food is what it is. You know, what we get to eat is still coming from all different places. But very nice. And sleep. How much facility do we need to sleep? Do we actually need a 4,000 square foot house? Do we actually need a Tempur-Pedic mattress? I saw in the neighborhood I was driving, they're on sale today, down there at 18th Street. There's a mattress store down there somewhere, and everything's on sale. Get you a Tempur-Pedic for 70% off, or something like that, or a Sleep Number, whatever those are. So much effort just to sleep. When, trust me, if you're tired enough, you can sleep anywhere. I've watched my sister-in-law on one of her medical vigils just lean against the wall and just go out from complete sheer exhaustion. She can sleep standing up. It's amazing. And if you say anything to her, she immediately pops right out of it. Training. So this is how we decide to complicate our world. So it is our problem that we complicate life. It really is. It's something we do to ourselves on the basis of not necessity as much as necessity and conditioning. We want to eat a certain way and eat certain nice things, and we want to do this, we want that, we want a wonderfully secure, safe, beautiful, soft, and comfortable place to sleep. So we arrange all this stuff to complicate our life. And we see here that that's not the wrong thing to do. It's perfectly okay. One should live within their means and be happy. Not a problem. There's a balance there. Because we see here in this example that Krishna simultaneously goes to a poor Brahmin's house and to the king's house and accepts everything that happens the same way. The opulence of the king, he can give such nice facility. The poor Brahmin can give such a lower level of things, but in the same loving exchange. Therefore, Krishna is equally pleased with both. If you have this much means, you use it for Krishna. If you have that much means, you use that for Krishna. You can offer Krishna a straw mat to sit on and some water. He's equally as happy if that's all you have and you're giving everything to him. It's wonderful. And Krishna personally interacts with this nice Brahmana. Let me tell you a secret. Kings don't give up secrets. Krishna's still a prince, remember? They don't give up secrets very easily. Krishna is willing to give the secret to Shrutadev. You simply worship the devotees as if they were me, because they are mine. And that shows up in scripture all over the place. Jad Bharat told King Rahungana, worship of the spiritual master is the highest principle of religious life. So many different places, right? This goes on. So that extends to Kali Yuga, 2020, February the 10th, right? February 10th. And this is 8:13, and we have a room full of devotees of Krishna that we can respect and worship at any point that we feel like living a purified life. Or we can be envious and have enmity towards each other and not make any advancement today. We have choices, interesting choices. But these are Krishna's personal instructions that he calls his secret. We worship the devotees of the Lord because they are dear to the Lord. For that reason only. This is Krishna. He's completely equal to everyone. He automatically gives the animals what they need to live. And he gives human beings what they need to live their proper life, which is Krishna consciousness, freely. How we utilize that and what we do with it is our personal choice. So we should make good choices on the basis of Krishna's ability to benedict his devotees with special pleasure, in spite of the difficulties and pains and miseries of this material world. And we see even the devotees suffer them. But they suffer them with understanding that I'm Krishna's. Whatever happens, happens. Haram Krodava. I don't care how miserable you make me, Krishna. I'm yours. I don't care what happens. Crush me with your embrace. Do what you want to me. I am yours. I'm not giving up. So that's what we do. It's our philosophy. And what happens is that Krishna gives you whatever you need, and Krishna is always present with you, always. So what else do you need? We have our needs. We have individual needs, and we can have those as long as we don't forget Krishna. Any questions or comments? Additions, please. Yes, sir. The Pujari speaks on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shri Radha Nila Madhava.
Really nice class, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank Krishna for that while you're up there. He
Okay.
empowers us to do whatever we do.
My question is, you just mentioned about how the devotee will suffer, but they always think that, I'm Krishna's. And so, meaning the devotee takes whatever comes according to previous activities and just tolerates it and just continues to do devotional service. So, my question is not really well thought out, but essentially, that's correct if one's actually considering like that. So what about those of us who are not at that stage of devotion to think like, we might be tolerating the sufferings and whatnot, but I might not be thinking very devotionally towards Krishna. It's not a very good question. I'm trying to word it properly.
That's a good question. I mean, that's a very elevated stage to attribute everything to Krishna. This is Radharani praying, and Lord Chaitanya relaying it to us, that this is how Radharani feels. And she is the, Mahabhava Sarupa Sridhara Thakurani. She is the embodiment of Mahabhav. Nobody has the love that she has for Krishna. So, that's the right question. Can I speak on just what you've said so far? Will that be enough? Or you have something else specific?
I'll just say one more thing,
please,
maybe to refine it, that, when Prabhupada, there was instances where Prabhupada told devotees that, this is not Krishna's mercy, this is your nonsense.
Yeah.
So how do we understand that in considering our own shortcomings in devotional service? How much do we hit ourselves over the head? Like, how much is it our doing, and how much is it just fate? Our previous activities that we have to tolerate. So how do we know?
Well, ultimately everything happens because Krishna's will. And if we so choose to be a fool, then Krishna deals with us like a fool. But he minimizes those reactions, so to speak. Like many devotees have been saved from driving all night and getting in accidents. Some haven't. An example is always there. There's all sorts of things where it is our foolishness that we end up with a mess on our hands that Krishna ultimately helps us rectify and ultimately keeps it from getting any worse than it needs to be. I mean, trust me, our spiritual master took personal responsibility of losing that Bombay property that Prabhupada had spent years fighting for already. And therefore, but he took it as his responsibility that happened. It was due to some improper association that another person he was working with agreed and convinced them that we just can't get anywhere with this. This legal mess of property and they let it slip away. Prabhupada was furious. But Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami stayed until he repaired the damage. I mean, this guy was really a demon. I mean, Prabhupada was joyous when he died. Prabhupada said he was praying that this guy would die because he's creating such hell for all the devotees. I mean, that's very interesting. This is in Sruta Kirti's book. He was his servant for 5 years through the 70s, which was really important. And many, many interesting realizations come out of that. So yes, Krishna is ultimately in control, and therefore he tempers what you're doing wrong. But we make mistakes. I mean, if you get a traffic ticket, it's not Krishna teaching you shouldn't speed. You already know that. Why do you need to bother? That's your foolishness. The punishment is that you have to pay the fine. So Krishna arranges for you to rectify particular habits by the interactions in the material energy, sure. And whether he does or doesn't specifically target you for that mercy, you get it anyway, because devotees realize, oh, now I've got to give our government my money, Krishna's money. So we learn. We actually see things from a Krishna conscious perspective. And therefore we act in the future in accordance with our understanding of the philosophy. And as far as, okay, we're not on that level, fine, but maybe we'll get some realization today or tomorrow, maybe later in the week or this month or maybe next year or maybe the next decade, should we live so long. We don't know. But if we wake up every day and do what Srila Prabhupada asked us to do, which is be Krishna conscious, chant 16 rounds, follow regular principles, do these things, then why wouldn't Krishna give us the ability to have firm and complete faith in him, in spite of our inabilities, in spite of everything else? Krishna it's his choice what he does. 9th verse of the 12th chapter, Krishna says, if you can't surrender to me, fine, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga and develop a desire to have me. And then I'll decide what I want to do with you. He doesn't say you get him. You only have a desire to have Krishna. And it's his choice when he gives himself to you, because once he gives himself to devotees, he's yours. You have to take that mercy very, very carefully. Here he's giving himself to Shrutadev. He reached out and grabbed his hand in love and said, let me tell you a secret. I mean, that's, wow. And this is a person that has enough to get by every day, not more than that. And he's completely satisfied that he has enough. Nothing more. He doesn't stock anything like that. See? So it's a stage to come to, ultimately, where we understand Krishna is everything, Krishna has everything, Krishna can give anything. And we just have to, whatever things that Krishna gives us, we have to be careful to maintain them nicely, because they're Krishna's, not ours. Whatever facility we have. That work? It's a process, and Prabhupada writes in the end of the purport of chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita, Transcendental Knowledge, verse number 10, this Bhakti Yoga process is a long, slow process, unwinding gazillions of years and births, to where this one we get to use for Krishna. And we do. Takes time. Every day, wake up, chant Hare Krishna, be happy, and tomorrow we can be just a little bit, just tiniest little bit better devotee tomorrow. Add that over a lifetime or a couple million lifetimes, fine, we still get there. Okay? Anyone else? Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Thank you all for welcoming me back. I really appreciate this. Haribo.